Was to find the pin. Now, you took them, didn't you?
I guess so.
Why? What did you want with a lady's pin and $2?
I don't know.
I don't understand it. Have you ever asked me for money that I haven't given it to you?
I don't know why I did it.
It just doesn't make sense.
Does Mom know about this?
Of course. She's nearly frantic about it.
Maybe she wants to talk to me.
No. That's the last thing she wants.
Dad, I won't do it again. I promise.
I wish I could understand this. Is there anything you've ever wanted within reason that you haven't had?
No, Dad.
Well, then what is it? There's something wrong. Can you tell me what it is?
Maybe, Dad, if we could go for a ride or something like that, just the two of us, and talk about it.
Your mother and I have made other arrangements tonight, George.
Oh.
Here. Here's $5. Then there won't be any reason for you to go poking around Mrs. Houston's purse. Now, do you understand?
I don't need it, Dad.
Take it.
I don't want any money.
I said take it.
All right, Dad.
Maybe some other night we'll go for a long ride.
I don't know why, but it seemed the only time I was important around our house was when I was in trouble of some kind or other.
Mm-hmm.
That fall, I got into a fight at school. Well, maybe I'll skip about the fight.
No. Go ahead. I want to particularly hear about that, George.
Oh, well, all right. I had a jackknife in my pocket. While we were rolling around on the ground, it fell out.
And what happened?
I opened it and went after this kid. I cut his shoulder up some. They took me to juvenile court on account of that. My mother had to go with me. The judge said he'd let me off if I promised to behave myself.
Mm-hmm.
Then he talked to my mother alone for a while. That night, when my father came home from work, they went into the den. I knew they were going to talk about me, so I went outside and hid in the shrubs under the window. I could hear everything they said.
It had to be Judge Chalmers. I don't know how I'll be able to look him in the eye after this.
He made me feel as though I'd failed the boy as a mother.
Nonsense. It's the fashion nowadays to blame everything on the parents.
He told me bluntly that he thought the child had been neglected.
The child. 6'2", 170 pounds. He could pass for 19 or 20 without difficulty.
I wonder if his size hasn't blinded us to the fact that he still is a child.
Oh, stop being clinical, please. He'll grow out of it.
I don't know. Maybe I have been inadequate.
Stop that, Elizabeth.
Judge Chalmers made a recommendation.
What was it?
That we put him through the child guidance clinic.
I don't think much of that. It'll be known all around town in a week.
What are we going to do?
Well, what we need more than anything is a couple of weeks away from here. We'll go away for a while.
Charles.
And while we're gone, we can decide what to do about him.
I wonder if we're not just looking for excuses to run away from George.
What then, George?
Well, that's when I knew I was just spoiling things for them by being around. The night before they left, while I was lying in bed, I kept thinking of different things I might do to make my folks proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just lying there thinking. I heard my mother coming up the stairs. Mom,
What is it, George?
can you come in for a minute, Mom?
Why aren't you asleep, George? It's after midnight.
I was just thinking how much I'd like to go with you and Dad on that trip tomorrow.
You know that's impossible, George.
I could get off from school for a couple of weeks.
I'm sorry, George.
I never get to go anywhere.
George, are you crying?
No, Mom.
I should hope not. Big boy like you. You'll be 15 soon. You're a man now. Men don't cry.
I'm not crying. I had something stuck in my throat. It's better now.
All right. And don't do anything stupid while we're gone. Next time you get into trouble, they'll lock you up.
The next morning, they went away. I watched them from my window. My mother wore a gray suit that she had made her look awful young and pretty.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's handsome, too. I can never figure out how I got to be so big and ugly and clumsy.
All right, go on.
Oh, well, shall I tell you about how I ran away?
Sure. I'd like to hear that.
After they left, I made up my mind there was no use hanging around anymore. So I didn't go to school that day. I just pretended I did.
I see.
Then about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I sneaked into Mrs. Houston's room. She always kept the housekeeping money in the top drawer of her dresser. I didn't know she'd come into the room. She was watching me.
George Andrews!
Huh?
What are you doing?
I was looking for something.
Get away from there.
Here it is.
Put that money down.
I need it.
You're a thief, that's what you are. Give me that money.
I need this money, and I'm taking it.
That's my money. I'm responsible for it.
I don't care whose it is.
I'm going to call the police, George, unless you give me that money.
Keep away from me, or I'll I mean it.
You're a disgrace to a fine mother and father.
I hate you as much as you hate me.
George, there's over $100 there.
I wish there was more. I'd get farther from this place.
I'm calling the police, George. I mean it.
Go ahead, call them. Start calling them right now.
Operator, give me the police.
Go ahead. Tell them all about it.
You are listening to Confession. Before continuing with a documented record of the subject referred to as George S. Andrus, the National Broadcasting Company is honored to present Mr. Richard A. McGee, Director of Corrections, Department of Corrections, State of California. Mr. McGee.
Perhaps the most difficult experience in any person's lifetime is one which all of us inevitably go through. That of crossing over from childhood into adulthood. Psychologists remind us that this transition is not as simple as it seems. The adolescent personality is often a complex jumble of confused and unharnessed emotions. The child is fighting desperately to attain the advantages of adulthood before he is ready for them. Often inside the full-grown body of the teenage boy, there is still the emotional framework of a dependent child. This is the age, more than any other, when he needs the security and guidance of family love. Adolescence is truly the most dangerous age in our lives.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Now to continue with Confession and the documented record of the subject referred to as George S. Andrus.
Let's continue, George.
I met Frank in the hotel in Los Angeles.
Frank? Frank who?
Funny, I never did find out what his second name was.
Well, let's go back to where you took the money from Mrs. Houston.
Oh, yes, sir. I took that money. I was a crook now. I was going away, and I'd never come back. Well, anyways, not till I was a big shot or something like that. I knew that the police might be looking for me, so I got out of town and hitchhiked a ride.
Hitchhiked where?
Well, these people drove me right to Los Angeles. I rented a room in a hotel on Spring Street. It wasn't much of a place, but it made me feel pretty good to sign that book. Oh, yeah, I changed my name. Called myself Chuck Anderson. It's pretty lonesome in a hotel when you don't know anybody. I was pretty glad when a guy sat down near me in the lobby and started talking to me.
Hi.
Hello.
I know this sounds corny, but ain't I seen you someplace before?
Maybe in New York or Chicago. Maybe Minneapolis.
Hey, you've been around, haven't you?
Japan, China, Korea. I just got back from Korea. Did a hitch there.
Yeah? Since I didn't see you there, not by a long shot.
Pretty rough going. All I got out of it was an oak leaf and 2 clusters.
No kidding. A real live hero, huh? You look kind of young for all that.
Yeah? How old do you think I am?
Oh, 19, 20 tops.
Just turned 19. Enlisted when I was 16. Lied about how old I was.
You know, they told me about guys like you, and I didn't believe them. What's your name?
Charles Anderson. My nickname's Chuck. Chuck Anderson.
How long are you staying here, Chuck?
Oh, hard to say. You have a room here, too?
Me? Nah. I just use the lobby for free office space. Keeps my expenses down.
Well, nice talking to you. I think I'll hit the hay.
Hey, wait a minute. 9 o'clock and you're hitting the sack? What kind of soldiers they turning out these days? 9 o'clock and he tells me bed.
Kind of tired. You know how it is. Anyways, don't seem to be much doing around town.
You, got a few bucks? I'll find you something to do, all right?
Yeah? What?
You name it. You want to gamble?
Tired of that. Had 2 days of it at Las Vegas.
How about women? You tired of that, too? You say that and you're no soldier, kid.
No, that's more my line.
Hey, I know a spot on North Broadway. All you got to do is you snap your fingers and they come running. 10 cents a dance, drink 35 cents. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Sounds pretty good, all right.
Come on, how about it, soldier?
I don't know. Legs bothering me pretty bad tonight. Shrapnel wound.
What, room you in, General?
703.
Maybe I'll drop around. Tomorrow. You be around?
Sure.
Okay. I'll knock on your door first. You might be having yourself some company, huh?
I went up to my room, but I couldn't fall asleep.
Oh.
I kept thinking about my mother and father. I guess I cried some. I wished the door would open and they'd come into that stinking room and take me home.
Of course.
Frank, he called on me about 10 o'clock the next morning. I didn't like him much. I could tell he was a crook. But he made me feel, well, grown up and wise about everything.
Mm-hmm.
He had no money, so I bought him lunch and supper. That night, he took me to the dance hall over on North Broadway.
How do you like it, Chuck? Not bad, huh?
Not bad at all.
You wait till Darlene comes around. She'll send your eyeballs rolling.
She'll have to be pretty good. I've been around, you know. Been around plenty.
She's a little old. Says she's 27, but you can add another 10 to that.
Oh, I like 'em older.
You do? Yeah. Hey, here comes Darlene now. Darlene!
Hello, Frankie. You want the money again?
My friend here handles that department. Chuck, meet Darlene.
Hiya, Chuck.
I'm glad to know you.
How about a dance, handsome?
Who, me?
What's the matter? You got telephone poles for legs or something?
Shrapnel wound over in Korea. Dancing's out for a while.
Yeah, see Alice over there by the railing. Hey, give me a couple of them tickets, Chuck.
Oh, you bet. Here.
Give you and Darlene a chance to get better acquainted.
You want me to sit down?
Sure. I was just going to ask you.
Well, how about it?
How about what?
Aren't you going to give me one of those dance tickets?
Sure. Sure. Here, take a couple.
House rules. Every dance you sit out with a customer, you got to get a ticket.
I know. It's like that everywhere.
Listen, what'd you say your name was?
Chuck. Chuck Anderson.
How old are you, Chuck?
19, going on 21.
Who are you kidding?
That's what I said. 19, going on 20.
You can fool a man, Chuck, not a woman. How old are you?
I told you, 19.
Okay, have it your own way. What'd you do, run away from home?
Who do you think you're talking to, kid? Listen, I got an oak leaf and 2 clusters over in Korea.
Yeah, and shrapnel in your leg. Where'd you meet up with Frank?
Him? I've known him a long time.
Then why do you want that chiseler hanging around you for?
Oh, just for laughs.
He'll clip you, then run out. He's worse than I am. You better give me another one of them tickets.
Oh, sure. I forgot.
Where are you from, Chuck?
Pittsburgh.
Go home to Pittsburgh.
Listen, who do you think you are, my mother or something? I can look after myself.
All right. I try to do my good deed for the day.
Did you stay there, George?
Oh, gosh, I don't remember everything that happened that night. I drank some wine and some other stuff. Then Frank took his girl Alice. We went out to eat. Darling, she wouldn't come with us.
What did you do?
Oh, we had a lot of fun. We rode around in a cab going to different places to have drinks.
I see.
I got to feeling pretty sick, but I didn't let on. I don't even remember getting into bed. I got up late that afternoon. I went out to get something to eat. When I came to pay the cashier, I saw I only had a couple of dollars left. I didn't see Frank that day or the next.